Time and time and time and time again. My mind is spinning. I press recline, sit back and do digits. Benz emblems got me looking like I'm selling chickens. TF from the gang, all this money.
I want to really get a better understanding of where you guys are at with your training, what you might struggle with, what you're trying to achieve. So I ran a poll or a question box on Instagram, and a good few of you had some really great questions on there. And the topics kind of ranged a bit. Some of you want to cut down and don't know how to go about doing that based on workout structure, or don't know how to or where to take calories from your diet in order to do that and still hold on to muscle. Some of you want to bulk up but still see some abs, so aren't sure if that's more training or if that's more nutrition based. And I want to tackle some of this stuff, but first off, it's good to be sitting back down with you guys. And I say that because that last video here, we got a little more, maybe a little more personal in a way. And to see your guys' response and hear from some of you in the comments, man, it was cool. I really felt like we were connecting through this, which I think is pretty special. So I don't take that for granted. I wanted to say thank you guys for those of you who watched and even wrote a little note down there in the comments. I appreciate you. And man, we keep it moving. We keep rolling with the positive energy. So this video, again, I want to focus on tackling some of the things that you guys are thinking about wrestling with, trying to execute on. I want to start by leaning into the cut side of things, how to do a deficit, how to structure your training, and important with that, not just how to structure your training for muscle development, but how do you structure your training week to week, month to month, so that you're not running into plateaus. So I thought today would be a perfect day because it's a Monday. So I'm training some chest. If you guys follow the workout of the week, you already know. But what's special about today is it is the first day of a deload week, which I program in about every 6 weeks in my own training. I translate it over to the app in that workout of the week program. Yeah, these are pretty necessary, at least I found, because I didn't always used to use them in my training. I'm like, nah, like I want to go hard. And I think a lot of it, and I should give myself maybe a little break if I do, but a lot of it's like that mental. It's like, well, I don't want to take a week off, or I don't want to go light for a week, because then, what am I doing? I'm not making progress. So I must be going backwards if I'm not in the gym. But I'm telling you from experience, if your focus is progress, particularly with building muscle, you need that time to recover. Those recovery periods are where you actually build muscle. You build muscle, after you've gotten in proper nutrition, you're sleeping, you're resting, your body's recovering. That's where you build muscle. The gym is just a tool to break down the muscle, to force it to adapt and ultimately grow. So when I'm starting a program, whether I want to bulk or cut, it's going to start with kind of a base phase where I have the new training split in place. I'm getting down the exercises I need to do. I'm leaving a few reps in the tank, usually around 3 to 4. And if I'm coming from a different split, I'm still going to be a little sore because I'm doing something new. There's new exercises and new structure of things. So I don't need to go all that crazy right away in terms of going to failure and doing a bunch of drop sets. Then kind of that second phase of the program is where I really look at starting to build more. So I drop my compound lift slightly in terms of how many reps I'm doing, so I'm going heavier, and then my total weekly volume per muscle increases slightly. I'll run a week or two there, and then I'll move into kind of the second build phase, which again really is just upping intensity more. So now I'm down to training to 1 rep shy of failure. The compound lifts drop even more so that I'm able to go heavier. Then I'm bumping up the total number of sets I'm doing per muscle group during the week as well, before I kind of hit the last phase where I'm going all out. I'm training to failure. There'll be more drop sets in here, maybe some rest pause to extend the sets, and I'm really only doing 1 week of this because that's all my body can really take. I'm not going to be able to train week after week like this. So then the deload week comes into play immediately after. I'm able to drop some fatigue, boost my recovery, kind of reset, and then evaluate where I'm sitting and where I want to go with my training. And typically I'll throw in that deload about every 6 weeks, but again, it's really up to how my body's recovering, how it's responding to the training. Have I been consistent with the training? Have I been consistent with my sleep, nutrition? You kind of get a feel when pumps are flat, you're sore, even after a rest day at the end of the week, going into a new week. If your body's pretty sore, pretty fatigued, you can tell when you're like, okay, it might be time. And then on the other side of it, if you start seeing that scale hover around the same number after a couple of weeks, especially if you're tracking weekly, right? So like every weekend on a Saturday morning, you wake up fasted, you weigh yourself, and that number's starting to not really budge, and you're starting to get pretty fatigued from the training or the diet. Again, that deload can be real powerful to push through that plateau. A little tip on the nutrition, whether you're bulking or cutting during that deload week, I like to switch my calories over to maintenance. So if you're bulking, it kind of just helps not to gain extra fat because you're not going to be training as much. Your total calorie burn for the week is going to be a little lower. And when you're cutting, it just helps drop that diet fatigue, both physically, can kind of boost some hormones, keep them smooth, but mentally too. It's like if you were to look at the whole cut, you might be dieting for 15, 16 weeks. So to have those periodic breaks mentally can be pretty refreshing too. And then, of course, you're boosting your recovery, come back the next week ready to rock and roll. So that is pretty much the structure of how I do it, whether bulking, cutting. I'm thinking, I want to get a feel, so I ran these questions. I need to run another poll, but I'll ask you guys as well. Are more of you in the camp of, I'm trying to cut down, keep muscle, and get shredded? Or are more of you in the camp of, I'm trying to bulk up, keep the fat to a minimum, maybe see some abs slightly under there, but I'm trying to build some muscle? So let me know, because I'm thinking it might be time to run a little challenge out of this. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what you guys are feeling and go from there. But I need to get to the gym because I swear every time I finish recording these intros, it's 3:30. So yeah, I'm gonna take you on my deload chest session, chest with a little bit of shoulders, more of basically a push day. I think I do call it a push day in the app. So we're gonna go train that appropriately for a deload. Let's go.
Other side, just for shorty, I'ma ride. No question, I'ma ride. TFM all the time, fool. Champagne to kill, crystal, cost a check, yeah. You could take a sip, refreshing. Vision on 2020, it's a blessing. My wrist in mint condition, my bitch in mint condition, my house in mint condition, my whip in mint condition. I'm beating they ass. On these tracks, I'm Sonny listing. You stupid, you ain't listen. I was focused, fingers itching. I could get you shot like a video, this the treatment. Everybody tryna be rappers, niggas is reaching. Paid in full lifestyle, everybody is eating. My niggas is superior, none of my partners leeching. I just test drove the new building, that shit was decent. I'm living like a kingpin at the ocean, we eating, yeah. Still toting this heater, yeah. 10K in the freezer, yeah. Cold cash, exquisite, yeah. Feel like Sonny listing, yeah. Mafia rules. Sincerely yours truly. Champagne to kill, crystal, cost a check, yeah. You could take a sip, refreshing. Vision on 2020, it's a blessing. My wrist in mint condition, my bitch in mint condition, my house in mint condition, my whip in mint condition. I'm beating they ass. On these tracks, I'm Sonny listing. You stupid, you ain't listen. I was focused, fingers itching. Time and time again. My mind is spinning. Yeah, sock it to me. Flow, Benz emblem music. Benz emblem music, nigga. Yeah, of course. Full courtesy of the mob. Flow.
diet, man. So that's obviously the other part of this cut that, really makes or breaks the success of getting to where I want to get on the scale. Um, Now it's the next day, so what you saw me eat was last night, but man, that was money. I was still thinking about that little sweet potato, um, 'cause that's what I do. So I threw that in. Actually, yesterday I had that pretty much same sweet potato. I did 2 halves before pre-workout, and then that half post-workout with just a little bit of that Cool Whip on. And you can use like any light Cool Whip or whatever will work. But man, that's it for me. I'll cook those potatoes. Like I'll batch cook them, just kind of fill up a tray with halves once or twice a week. Throw it in the oven for about an hour, maybe a little before I'll check on them at 400. And I want to get them just to the point where they kind of caramelize like that. The baking brings out the natural sugars in there, and man, that's it right there. I'm probably gonna have another one later today because that's my thing, man. Like I used to do the thing where I would kind of wait all week and have a big cheat meal, and then almost to the point where I'm like feeling sick or bloated, through the rest of that day, and kind of lethargic, and then I felt like it would take a couple of days to kind of reset, and then I wouldn't be smooth till like midweek, and then by that time a couple more days passes, and then I do the whole thing over again. So I used to do that. I have bigger cheat meals, but now not so much. Like once in a while I'll plan something, especially going out with friends or whatever. We want to go out to eat. It's like, okay, kind of plan around that. Maybe drop my carbs in the morning, so that sweet potato that I had pre-workout, or the protein muffins you guys see me eat in the mornings, like, all right, I'll skip those and kind of save up the carbs or the extra calories for maybe a little something out. So that's how I like to diet. It's a macro-based approach. I'm logging everything in a macro tracking app. So I use Macro Factor. There's other ones like MyFitnessPal is free. This one's paid, but this was, oh man, that was money. 867 calories, 72 protein, 22 fat, and then 96 carbs. So a little bit on the heavier side for me, but again, it was a good post-workout meal. And then I finished the day with just some yogurt and some blueberries, and drizzle a little honey on there. And that was it. I was smooth. I was just up over 2,000 calories and hit my protein goal for the day. So I was chilling. So that's my point with that. It's on a macro-based approach where you're not just eating strict bodybuilding meals. And there's, both can work. Because I did the strict bodybuilding meals when I was prepping with a coach. He was a little more old school that way. So we weren't even really tracking things. It was just manipulating, amounts of carbs in most meals, keeping the fats real low through prep. Protein was always high. And that was for both bulking and cutting. That was his approach. That's how he did it. And, it worked. It got me pretty dialed. But for me, personally, a more sustainable approach is macros. So I have my numbers, whether I'm trying to add some size, maintain, or cut down. And I just do my best to hit those numbers each day. And, I don't stress getting to the exact gram of protein, the exact gram of fat. But, I want to get close to it, and then I'm chilling. Even if I have a little something that might be out of my diet, I'm not really stressing as long as I'm within those values for the day. So personally, I recommend that just because of the sustainability, the flexibility. It's like, man, I want to be able to enjoy some things in life too and still stay on point. So I've actually built out a macro calculator. So I didn't actually do the program, but worked with somebody who built it out. And if you guys are in the app, you're probably familiar with it in the extra section there. But if you're not in the app, I'll link it below this video just so you have it to reference if you want to go to and figure out what the heck your macros are. Even if it's just maintenance. Like if you've never tracked, just put it in for maintenance and then try to hit those maintenance numbers for 2 weeks. That's where I recommend people to start, rather than like if you do want to cut down, chances are you may not be eating enough protein, you might be overeating calories. So just kind of getting a maintenance and seeing if you can handle that. That's a good first step. It's kind of that minimum effective dose. And then from there, switch it up. You can put in your values, and then you'll put in, okay, do you want to add muscle? Do you want to maintain weight? Do you want to lose weight? then you can start playing with your goals after those first 2 weeks. And if you feel stuck, but you haven't tracked macros, but you've kind of been, on your training, been on your diet, then I say just go for it. If your goal is to cut down, say that you want to lose weight, it'll put you in a proper deficit, and then again, it'll still balance your protein, carbs, and fats to ideally keep as much muscle during your cut as possible. And then kind of on the other side of it with the bulk, it'll put you at just enough of a surplus, 10 to 15% above your maintenance, and then it'll, with the corresponding macros, and you should be smooth. You should be on your way to building some muscle and then minimizing as much fat as possible. That's really the name of the game. And then the rest is really your consistency, your execution, and it's great. You know what your macros are, but if you're not hitting them consistently, how do you expect to get to where you want to go? So then it's all about executing, finding the little tricks in your diet that work with you. Like it might be the sweet potato and Cool Whip when you get a little craving. There might be something else, maybe it's some dark chocolate, some yogurt, some rice cakes, peanut butter. I mean, there's a ton out there. So I'll keep trying to share the little things I do to mix it up and enjoy the flavor of life a little bit. Yeah, on the training front, man, that session yesterday, that was smooth. So again, doing 3 on a deload week. I'm only training 3 days, usually Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's just a push-pull legs. And then most exercises, I'm doing 3 sets, around like 10, maybe 12 reps, not really coming anywhere near failure, slowing down the movement and focusing on form. And that's what's cool about this week is like mentally, I kind of have to check myself because, there's times I want to go in the gym and just push even if I have the energy this week. But I know in order to continually see progress, I need to use this week to drop fatigue so that next week when I change the mesocycle, update my split a little bit, I'm fresh and then I'm able to take advantage of that and then make more progress. It's kind of a good opportunity to take inventory on things like my form, on things like, do I have any imbalances or any muscles that have been tweaked over the last few weeks of training because I'm going lighter, because I'm slowing it down, like literally slowing the movement down. I can kind of gauge better, okay, where's this shoulder feeling? How's this chest, this pec doing versus this one? And just kind of feel things out, You could say that you're going intense and hitting it hard and injuries happen, and they do, but I think in my experience, taking something like deload week, tapering up the intensity during a mesocycle, those things go a long way in allowing you to make consistent progress, not just progress until something happens. Ideally, you don't have any major injuries, and if you can avoid them, why not? That's kind of my method. Like, although I say that, but after having torn my hamstring twice, the worst of which was me sprinting, and because I still got some speed from when I was younger, so I was trying to work on that, and exactly what I'm telling you to do, I did not do with running. I was doing like sets of 5 100-meter all-out sprints, and I had been doing that for a couple weeks. And instead of tapering it up slowly, I said, let me do sets of 10. And on the very last 10 out of 10, the very last sprint, I was coming out of the start position, just getting up to full speed, and then it went like hamstring popped, leg went limp. I was green in the face. I was like, man, it was more the heartbreak of it too. I was like, golly. But looking back, I did it to myself. Had I tapered in things instead of just ramping it up, probably wouldn't have torn that hamstring as bad as I did, if at all. So, it's lessons. You learn from it, and then that forced me to focus on, okay, how do I go about rehabilitating this muscle properly? So I kind of learned some things, applied some things myself, and then you add it to your repertoire. So there can always be a positive, but I think there's that mental component too, because that's how I started lifting, man. It was really from my mind. Like when I started training, I was 7 days a week, like lifting. I did not know half, or not even half intensity. Like wouldn't even care about, reps in reserve or this and that. And, maybe there was a time for that and I was younger, so I could recover a little better from just the sessions, and then also, you know, any little tweaks and stuff I was giving myself. I'm very glad my training and my knowledge has progressed substantially from that point, because you realize, like, in order to go intense, to train hard, to make progress, it has to be balanced with the appropriate amount of rest. And I can't remember who said it, but I was listening to a podcast, and they were like, they were talking on the concept of intensity. It's like, if you're intense 100% of the time, all the time, is that really intense? You're probably not. You're probably thinking you're intense, but your kind of baseline of that intense performance is just slowly decreasing over time, because you're never allowing yourself to reset and kind of get back up to what true intensity is, you know, closer to your 100%. It's a good thing to think on, because it's like sometimes you're pushing, and you're just running yourself into the ground. This could be for training or other things, and it's like, until you take that step back, man, you might not be able to go back toward what your real 100% is. So I thought that was a cool little life lesson with a deeper meaning in it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to try to get too philosophical with it. That's what a deload week has been looking like for me. That's how I kind of go about my dieting on a cut in general. Next video, I'll probably be back on a new mesocycle. So if you're following the training in the app, you'll see next week is going to be a new split or variation of the split on the workout of the week. And I just ran a poll this morning, so we'll see what happens. But I'm trying to gauge how many of you are wanting to bulk up right now over the next month or two versus cut down. Again, I might have a little something cool in the works for that, depending where you guys are at. So if you want to let me know what your target is, you can hit me in the comments with that. But other than that, man, we keep it smooth and we keep going. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.